What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Coach Steve Show podcast. The Illinois Fighting Illini we're just moments away from getting the 76-50 win over the Nebraska Cornhuskers, continuing Illinois' Big Ten win streak of 2 after beating Wisconsin the other day, I should say. Finally getting on a little win streak here of 2 in a row and getting another Big Ten win. Big time win 76-50 over Nebraska. And it's a big time win anytime you can get one in the Big Ten. So we're going to discuss that real quick for this Illinois versus Nebraska post game. We are recording moments after the game is over. Illinois got the big win over Wisconsin before. Now they get the big win over Nebraska. Hit the like button, subscribe button on the YouTube channel. Follow and rate it on Apple and iTunes. Follow me at Coach_Steve72. And then the podcast Twitter is at Coach Steve Show on Twitter as well. Leave a comment in the comment section down below. Check out all the affiliates, all that good stuff. Follow and rate it, all that good stuff. They get a big win over Illinois gets a big win over Nebraska. It's always a big win when you could get a win in the Big Ten. Nebraska has been up and down this season. They've lost to Indiana and Purdue, but then they've also beaten Iowa and they've beaten Minnesota. Their schedule has been but they got wins over Boston College, Florida State, over number 7 Creighton. So they have gotten some wins. They have just been inconsistent with their play. But Illinois travels to Nebraska, feeling pretty good after their win over Wisconsin on Saturday, playing much better, playing much tougher defense, playing much better on offense, moving the basketball around, being unselfish with the basketball, more unselfishness than selfishness, a lot of ball movement. And tonight it started off a little slow like Illinois tends to do. But that was one of the biggest, if not the biggest takeaway, is the continuum of how the offense is moving the ball a lot better than they were during the losing games that they have had, versus Maryland and Virginia and Missouri, definitely Missouri and Northwestern. Something clicked after the Northwestern game. We saw glimpses of it, but then Wisconsin, we saw a lot more of it. And so tonight, could we see more of the same? And we absolutely did. We saw way better ball movement. We saw lots of people cutting. They still stay in that 2-1-2 look where they're passing and then they're cutting around and they get a high ball screen and then they have motion on the backside, back cuts, and continuing that throughout this game was big time for Illinois because of all the standing around that we did see, because people wanted to really panic after the Missouri game. And, I don't think we should have panicked right then and there, but I understand why people were panicking because of the lack of movement we had on the floor, the lack of passing we had on the floor, those extra passes. You saw a ton of ball movement with Illinois tonight. Lots of assists for people. Coleman Hawkins had 5 assists. Mayer had 2 assists. Shannon Carter had 4 assists as well. Rogers had 1 assist. So altogether, you had 14 assists, but if you saw the extra, there was pass, and then pass again, and pass, drive the lane, kick out again. So just very unselfishness play that we did see from Illinois. And you saw Shannon Carter's finally starting to get into a groove. He was 10 of 17 with 25 points. He had 4 steals, 4 assists, 11 rebounds, 7 defensive rebounds, 4 offensive rebounds. He was 2 of 7 on 3, 3 of 5 on free throws. So he really played well. Coleman Hawkins did not have the same type of game. He was 1 of 5 from 3-point line, 4 of 8 field goal, but he had 10 points. He came up with a block, steal, 5 assists, 3 defensive rebounds. Mayer has started to fill into a role of, he doesn't always have to be this big time shooter. He'll hit the shots when he needs to. He was only 2 of 10, though, 2 of 8 3, but they come at a time when it's needed. He was 4 or 5 from free throws, but where you see is he's getting 4 defensive rebounds. He's passing the ball with 2 assists. He had 2 blocks, 1 steal. So he's focusing a lot on the defense side of the ball, knowing that he can come down, bring the ball handler up, make that extra passes when he needs to, because they know he is a threat to hit those shots when needed. Epps off the bench has, I thought, played a lot better or he's played well this year, I should say. He was 6 of 7 from field goal, 1 for 3 with 13 points off the bench. But a guy that really stepped up with hustle points that people don't really talk about is Ty Rodgers. He was all over social media. 4 offensive rebounds, 3 defensive rebounds. So his time playing, he had 7 total rebounds, only 4 points, but he was the guy diving on the floor for the basketball. He was the guy that was getting people's faces on defense. So his energy off the bench really helped elevate Illinois. And then RJ Melendez, even though he's only 4 of 9 from shooting, it was a lot better than what he was. He had 10 points off the bench, 2 of 6 from 3. So Illinois just overall as a team with Shannon Carter leading the way with 25 points, who was taking guys off the dribble. He was still making extra passes. He still ended up with 4 assists. He was taking, two dribble shooting type and shooting the ball, and really was able to open up the game, which I got a lot more focus on him. So then Epps steps in off the bench and gets some points. So it just really allowed things to happen there on the offensive side of the ball. Looking at Illinois stats, they were 45.9% shooting, 8 of 29 from 3, which is not good. They struggled in the first half shooting the 3. And it kind of happened in the second half, but mainly the first half, we still saw that. Struggling shooting 3 at times, 27.6% from 3. 12 of 18 for free throws, 66.7%. 41 total rebounds, 28 defensive rebounds to 13 offensive rebounds, 14 assists, 12 steals, 7 blocks, which is amazing. We did turn the ball over 11 times. We had 21 fouls, so we have to learn or really focus on not fouling. Nebraska shot 37% from field. They were 4 of 14 from 3, which is 28.6%. 6 for 11 on free throws, 54% there. 33 rebounds, 9 offensive rebounds, 24 defensive rebounds. They only had 8 assists, 3 steals, 2 blocks. They turned the ball over 17 times. Last year, I said Nebraska. I think it was Nebraska. Nebraska, I think Utah were some of the best rebounding teams I've seen. So to come in and do that to Nebraska, if you're an Illinois fan, is pretty great to see. But another headline you're going to see outside of the players playing well and what was happening on offense is we're continuing this non-switching defense. It happens at times, but I said this on the last episode that's going to take some growing pains, because if you're practicing switching a defense, that makes you play off a little bit. That makes you vulnerable to slips to the rim, makes you vulnerable to some pick and pops, and then it makes you vulnerable to have completely wide open shots off the backside, because if you're not paying attention, you're not communicating well, and then you're less aggressive. And then the less aggressive you are, the less steals you're going to get, which gets you onto fast break, which is what Illinois did. Illinois off the steals had these fast breaks because I thought they were great on defense, besides the beginning of the second half. Beginning of the second half, they allowed Nebraska to go on a 6-0 run, but that non-switching defense is really working. The aggressiveness of our defense, able to force turnovers, have fast break opportunities with how athletic and lengthy Illinois is. That's something I don't know if a lot of people are going to talk about. Is when they stopped switching, they became more aggressive. But I also said when you switch and you play that type of defense to switch it, it's going to take a little bit. And to really focus on moving on offense too takes a little bit. And we're starting to see the benefit and the result of this. Now, it is still going to take time because we have a tough schedule coming up. But to do this to Nebraska to gain some confidence is fantastic. And one thing I wanted to see with this Illinois team that you saw with Wisconsin was when Illinois got up and they had this momentum, something would happen. They turned the ball over. They would force up a shot that they didn't need to force up. That happened a handful of times tonight. I know Coleman Hawkins shot a Steph Curry range, not farther than Steph Curry range 3 where he didn't need to. And then I think once in a while, maybe May or somebody settled for a 3. But outside of that, they really understood the assignment and passed it when they need to. And then the next part you want to continue to see with this change of or more attention to detail on offense and what they're doing on defense, not switching everything. And they get up. What's the growth? Because it is a young team. He's dealing with a young team without Sky Clark. getting these guys to do what he needs them to do and continue to grow. What type of leadership do they have? You've heard the things about the locker room. So how do they handle when they're up? And we saw a glimpse of it in the first half where they were up, and then Nebraska started to come back. And then going into the second half, Nebraska was on the 6-0 run. How do they handle that? Coach Underwood calls timeout. They hit a 3. Then they start getting stops on defense. Then they go up, I think it was 18 or 20. Then once they go up 18 or 20, what happens when Nebraska comes back and they got back within 10? Well, I don't believe there was a timeout called by Coach Underwood. So what happens when they go through that? They got steals. They took time off the clock. I don't think they know on purpose. They were just making those extra passes to take time off the clock, getting a better shot than what they would settle for that you would have saw against Missouri, against a Northwestern, getting into the lane, taking guys off the dribble after extra pass. So they were able to withstand that storm and make those good decisions in order to get those shots. So moving forward with Illinois, continuing what we're seeing, what we saw today was what we saw a lot of similarities with the Wisconsin game. So here in 3 days, when they have to play Michigan State, are we going to continue to see the same type of things from them? But what is happening right now, you're giving a young team confidence. You're giving a young, lengthy, athletic team confidence that can block shots, that can keep guys in front of them on defense, that bothers them with the length without blocking the shot. They're starting to make the extra pass. The shooting still at the 3-point line, still a little shaky, but they hit them when they need to. They're driving into the lane pretty well. The fast break opportunities, that's where Illinois lives. So this non-switching defense, if they're able to force turnovers and get into a fast break situation, they will compete with everybody in the Big Ten, because they have a tough schedule coming up in 3 days with Michigan State, 3 days after that, Minnesota, 3 days after that, Indiana. Then they get a little bit of a break in Ohio State. So it's just going to continue. Then they have to go to Wisconsin, who's going to want that revenge thing part back, and then Nebraska again. So it just continues on to this big time, tough schedule of the Big Ten that they're going to have. But confidence, getting tougher on defense, getting better passing the ball and driving to the lane is really going to help elevate Illinois to where they need to be with such a young team. So it was great to see that tonight with Illinois, seeing guys off the bench play tough and bring that energy. So great win for Illinois against Nebraska. They are now getting 2 wins in the Big Ten, and hopefully this is going to slowly get them back on track and build up a team, because it's a different team than we've watched the last couple years. And it's funny, you don't see anything about Coach Underwood now, do you? People all wanted him. They wanted his head on the chopping block, saying how he can't coach. So it's funny how we don't see that anymore. That will end this Illinois versus Nebraska quick post game. Hopefully everybody enjoyed the game. Please hit the like button, subscribe button again. Follow Ray on Apple and iTunes. Follow me at Coach_Steve72 on Twitter, and at Coach Steve Show on Twitter. Leave a comment section down below. Check out all the affiliates in the description below. Thank you guys for watching and or listening. Congrats to the Illini, and also congrats to the Illinois women's basketball team. They are ranked for the first time, I believe, since 2000. So we're going to try, not because they're doing really well, it's just, time-wise to do this, but we're going to try to talk more about Illinois women's basketball because they're playing fantastic, and let's just talk all Illinois sports the best we can. So thank you guys for watching and or listening. This is Coach Steve, and we will see you guys next time.